Okay, good morning, everybody. Hope everybody had a great weekend. I've been missing the reading and seeing you all and being able to make my usual joke that this is the book that I want to read. I actually did something very interesting yesterday because I ended up, 1 second, that didn't work. There we go. So yesterday I actually started a little bit more basic Chinese book because Rich Dad Poor Dad in Chinese is probably a little bit advanced for me. And I'm sure that most of you don't read Chinese, so we are still reading The Art of Thinking Clearly. Oh, there we go. And the last chapter we read was chapter 32, Why Evil Strikes Harder Than Good, Loss Aversion. And today we are reading chapter 33, Why Teams Are Lazy. This one's called Social Loafing, so very, very interesting. And hello to everybody that's just joined on Bigo Live. And we'll just say a quick hello, and there we go, a quick follow. Let's get into the reading because it's a Monday. It's, I'm sure, a really big day for you all. Lots of things to do, lots of goals that you thought about and set over the weekend. So let's get into some reading. In 1913, Maximilian Ringelmann, a French engineer, studied the performance of horses. He concluded that the power of two animals pulling a coach did not equal twice the power of a single horse. Surprised by this result, he extended his research to humans. He had several men pull a rope and measured the force applied by each individual. On average, if two people were pulling together, each invested just 93% of their individual strength. When three pulled together, it was 85%, and with 8 people, just 49%. Science calls this the social loafing effect. It occurs when individual performance is not directly visible. It blends it to the group. It occurs among rowers, but not in relay races, because here individual contributions are evident. Social loafing is irrational behavior. Why invest all of your energy when half will do, especially when this little shortcut goes unnoticed? Quite simply, social loafing is a form of cheating of which we are all guilty, even if it takes place unconsciously, just as it did with Ringelmann's horses, because, yeah, the horses probably think the same as we do and don't realize that they're doing it, actually. It's really interesting because when it comes to social loafing, I was watching a video about Gary Vee, and he was talking about the fact that there is no point to getting your staff to work as hard as you do because they're obviously not as invested in the business as you are. And so that's just social loafing right there, because the business owner is so motivated and loves their business so much that they are fully at it. Whereas when there's a whole group of people working on the business, everybody knows that everybody else is also working on the business. So very interesting point. When people work together, individual performances decrease. This isn't surprising. What is noteworthy, however, is that our input doesn't grind to a complete halt. So what stops us from putting our feet up completely and letting others do all the hard work? The consequences. Zero performance would be noticed, and it brings with it weighty punishment, such as exclusion from the group or vilification. Now, this I actually experienced when I was at university, because I was in groups 2 or 3 times, well, more than that, actually, 4 times, 5 times, many, many times, I had to work in groups. And I've actually fired a couple of people because I noticed they weren't really putting in the effort, or they were doing something that was holding the group back, or it was demotivating the rest of the group. And that is just as bad as not doing anything. When somebody is taking action, but they are actually holding the group back, or they are saying negative things, or they are demotivating the group, then that will cause the same kinds of issues, and it will hold the whole group back. It will get other people demotivated, and everybody will start putting in less effort because they're not really motivated. They don't see the bigger end picture anymore. So I've fired people personally for doing this. So yes, absolutely, there is a consequence to not doing anything or being super negative. Social loafing does not occur solely in physical performance. We slack off mentally too. For example, in meetings, the larger the team, the weaker our individual participation, because we know that somebody else will ask a question, or somebody else will give an example, or somebody else will do that. So, if I can't think of anything, I'm not going to really exert myself to think of anything. But if there are only 3 people in the room, and I know that they're expecting me to give an answer as well, then I'm going to go double overtime thinking if I can come up with an answer. And there's a couple of love hearts that I just saw, so thank you to everybody that's been sending those. So that is really nice. There we go. Just acknowledge those. Okay, I don't always see those, so just saw them this time. Social loafing does not occur in physical performance. However, once a certain number of participants is involved, our performance plateaus. Whether the group consists of 20 or 100 is not important. Maximum inertia has been achieved. One question remains. Who came up with the much vaunted idea that teams achieve more than individual workers? Maybe the Japanese. 30 years ago, they flooded global markets with their products. Business economists looked more closely at the industrial miracle and saw that Japanese factories were organized into teams. This model was copied with mixed success. What worked very well in Japan could not be replicated with the Americans and Europeans, perhaps because of social loafing rarely happens there. In the West, teams function better if and only if they are small and consist of diverse, specialized people. This makes sense because within such groups, individual performances can be traced back to each specialist. Social loafing has interesting implications. In groups, we tend to hold back not only in terms of participation, but also in terms of accountability. Nobody wants to take the rap for the misdeeds or poor decisions of the whole group. A glaring example is the prosecutions of the Nazis at the Nuremberg trials, or less controversially, any board or management team. We hide behind team decisions. But we all decided, and then I'm not to blame, see? The technical term for this is diffusion of responsibility. For the same reason, teams tend to take bigger risks than their members would take on their own. So teams will take big risks because they know that they can hide behind everybody else, whereas individuals know that they can't hide behind anybody else. The individual group members reason that they are not the only ones who will be blamed if things go wrong. This effect is called risky shift. Oh, risky shift. Interesting. And is especially hazardous among company and pension fund strategists, where billions are at stake, or in defense departments where groups decide on the use of nuclear weapons. In conclusion, people behave differently in groups than when alone. Otherwise, there would be no groups. The disadvantages of groups can be mitigated by making individual performances as visible as possible. Long live meritocracy. Long live the performance society. Interesting. So I suppose my big conclusion to this one is that we live in a society where, as long as we are working on our own things, then we are going to be fully motivated to them. When we are working together with other people, the motivation is spread among everybody else, and we know automatically, and it's not something that we do consciously. So it's not something that we can do anything about. So when we are carrying a log together with somebody else, I know that the other person is also carrying a portion of it. Or when we're carrying furniture, that somebody else is also going to be carrying their portion. And we're able to do it with a little bit less effort each. And that helps us to be able to save some of our own energy, which is what we're going to naturally do to look after ourselves. So I think it has a lot to do with us looking after ourselves. That's different for individuals, but says Menno. And a couple of people saying that it's nice, love working in groups. Yes, love working in groups. It's usually going to be a little bit easier to do things in groups, because that way you know that somebody else is also going to be brainstorming and giving information and different other things. Okay, so that was today's chapter. And tomorrow we are on chapter 34. I cannot believe how fast we're getting through this book. Stumped by a sheet of paper. Well, that sounds very vague and interesting and exciting what that's going to do. And exponential growth. That is an interesting one because that ties in very well with the economy. So we'll probably end up talking about the economy and how that works. Thank you to everybody that has been commenting and leaving messages. There's been a lot of different comments and messages on the Bigo Live today. It has been good seeing you all. So thank you for joining. Thank you for all the comments. I did my best to see if I could see what it was saying. Somebody asked me, when do I usually do my streams? So I'm in Sydney, so I do them at 8 a.m. Sydney time. and I need to start heading off. But I had a ball reading for you today, and I loved all the comments. And that was obviously not social loafing, because everybody's been leaving comments and discussing different things. So that's been amazing. So well done for not social loafing, everybody. Have a great day. I will see you throughout the week. I'll see you again tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Sydney time, wherever that is, whatever time that is, where you are. Have a great day, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Look forward to reading some more for you.